I want to first welcome you to this masterclass. It's so much more, and I want to tell you good evening. But tonight we're going to be talking about thyroid, adrenal, and sex hormones, and what are the most common causes of hormone issues. So far, we've been building on the previous masterclass sessions of the Mind-Body Wellness series, and we've been talking about this mind-body connection to optimal wellness, right? And we've been going through this 4-pillar roadmap to optimal wellness, which is balance, lift, clarify, and calm. And so, of course, we've been talking about, balancing cellular fuel delivery. And we started there and we talked about circulation and oxygen, and then we talked about blood sugar balance. And so if you missed those classes, reach out to your mentor and they can lead you to the replays of this series. And then we moved into pillar 2, which was to lift metabolic and immune function. And we started with the bridge of digestion, and we talked about immunity in the gut, and specifically, the systemic effects of when there's a problem there, right? And we talked about leaky gut and how that's not a gut problem, that's actually an immune challenge that's happening in the gut. And then we dove even deeper into immune function and how our immune system works in balance and what happens when it's out of balance, right? And how that can lead to chronic infections and autoimmunity. Now, last week, we began our 3rd pillar. We started talking about our 3rd pillar, which is to clarify toxic buildup and stabilize endocrine function. And so last week, we talked about detoxification and how our body detoxes in a sequence. And we need to improve elimination and make sure we are looking at detox in a safe way through the proper flow, right? Now, tonight, we're going to talk about that stabilizing endocrine function, and specifically thyroid, adrenal, and sex hormones, and what are the most common causes of hormone challenges. And so, remember, this is a framework. It's designed to help you build on your foundation of health so that you can achieve optimal wellness for you, like whatever that looks like for you. And we do this by looking to support all 4 pillars daily, right, with a program that supports the foundation of all 4 pillars. And then also we can add specific things to your program along the way when necessary in order to address specific challenges along the way. Now, when it comes to hormones, the number one question that people have is like, why do people have hormone challenges, right? And people often assume that, when you have a hormone challenge, it means you need to take a hormone or you need to add hormones to your protocol. But when you take a hormone, whatever hormone that is, you're basically choosing hormone replacement, right? And all of these hormone medications are really just giving you something that your body should be making on its own. So instead of just saying, what hormone do I need, and then go out and get that and put it in, we really want to be asking, why is that hormone out of balance in the first place, right? And tonight I'm going to give you the top 3 reasons why hormones get out of balance in the first place. Because the reasons why you even have a hormonal challenge in, at the time is usually not due to hormone deficiency, right? So the top 3 reasons why you have a hormone imbalance or challenge is number 1, stress, right? Stress wreaks havoc on the entire body systemically. It starts in the head, goes all the way through, and it definitely affects our hormones. And there's also specific hormones for stress. It's cortisol. And when that gets out of balance, it wreaks havoc in everything, right? Number 2, blood sugar imbalance, right? And so when the blood sugar is imbalance, that also affects cortisol, and it affects insulin, and it affects all your other hormones as well. So that is a really, really key point. And that's why in this roadmap, that was one of the very first things that we really looked at, is really balancing the body. And then number 3 is inflammation. And inflammation systemically in your body will cause your immune system to stay out of balance, like we talked about a couple of weeks back. But it really wreaks havoc on the hormone system. So these are the 3 things that typically cause your hormones to be out of balance. So if you do not address stress, physiology, blood sugar imbalance, and inflammation from all sources, it doesn't really matter how much hormone replacement you're taking, right? And regardless of the type of hormone, like whether it's a sex hormone, like, you know, whether there's estrogen replacement or progesterone replacement or testosterone, or whether it's, you know, thyroid, regardless of the hormone, right? If you're not addressing these parts, it doesn't really matter how much of the hormone you take, you're still going to have challenges. And that's why so many people are on thyroid hormone replacement or on, you know, progesterone replacement or whatever it is, and they don't really feel like it's really getting them to where they want to get. And that's because oftentimes that's actually not the problem, right? But I want you to understand, this is why we take this roadmap approach to improving your health. So we want to look at, why are hormones out of balance in the first place? Is it really due to a deficiency, or is there something else that's messing with the hormones so that you're not getting enough in your system, right? Or maybe you're not able to utilize it and you're actually producing plenty of it, but your body doesn't know how to utilize it. And that's actually the most common scenario, right? And so we want to look at these underlying root cause. So even if you need to take a hormone at the end, this will help your body to utilize it better. So let's look at how hormones actually work. So when we look at hormones, we want to look at specific pathways, right? So that we can understand how hormone flows, and then we can isolate and detect the root cause of the challenge where things are broken. So specifically, your sex hormones, your adrenal hormones, and your thyroid hormones work in this pathway, right? It all starts with the brain. And we're going to start right here with the brain, and specifically the hypothalamus, right? Now, the hypothalamus is a hormone gland in your brain, and it kind of lives at the bottom part of the brain. And its job is that it creates hormones that are called releasing hormones, right? And so you have thyroid releasing hormone, you have adrenal tropic releasing hormone, you have, you know, hormones that stimulate, you know, estrogen, progesterone, you know, all the testosterone, all these different things. And so what comes next is the hypothalamus creates the releasing hormone, and it sends that over to the pituitary gland, which is basically right beside it. And the pituitary gland, they're neighbors, and they live right next to each other. And basically, the pituitary gland then makes your stimulating hormone. So the hypothalamus sends the releasing signal, the releasing hormone signal, to the pituitary, and then the pituitary goes ahead and sends the stimulating hormones to the actual glands, whatever gland it is, whether it's thyroid, adrenals, or either the ovaries, or you know, whatever it is. So if the glands is where they actually start creating the hormones that will actually go into the cells, right? And so I kind of look at this like this. The glands are like a factory that produces the hormone that's going to end up going to like the retail stores of the cells. But before you get to the factory workers, they don't do anything until the boss tells them to do it, right? So the boss, or the CEO, right, like the big guy, is the hypothalamus. And then the pituitary is like the management, right, or the foreman. And then the gland is the factory workers. And all of this works on a feedback loop. So now that you make the hormone in the glands, it has to be transported, right? And it's actually transported on a type of protein that is a binding protein. And what they do is they kind of work like a semi-truck, right? So you create the hormone in the gland, that's the factory, and then you load the hormones onto this protein, which is going to act like the semi-truck that carries the hormone from the factory to the retail stores. And the retail stores are right here. This is your cells. And each one of these little parts right here is the actual receptor site on the cells. So the semi-truck or the binding protein takes it to the cell, and right there it gets transferred. And what happens is basically the protein gets cut away and it gets transferred onto the cell. And what you end up with is, we call this free hormone. And if you've ever had a test run for hormones, that's actually one of the tests they'll run. Like if they run for your thyroid, they're going to look for, your free hormone levels as well. And what that means, free hormone just means that it's not bound to the protein, that semi-truck that was taking it to the store, right? Because at some point we have to unload the inventory and put it into the store itself, right? We have to put the actual hormone into the cell. And so what happens right here, and in this point in the cell, it generates a metabolic effect. So for thyroid hormone, for example, this is when your metabolism gets stimulated by thyroid, right? If it's adrenal hormone, this is where the adrenal gland goes, and the hormone goes into the cell, and let's say it's cortisol, right? And so it goes into the cell and it causes, it works to, raise blood sugar. The adrenal glands also create epinephrine, right? And so epinephrine is one that it would go into the cell and it would cause a metabolic effect of your heart rate going up, right? Your blood pressure going up, and it would also release glucose, right? So they have a metabolic effect where they actually change something in your body, right? Same thing if it's testosterone, if it's estrogen, progesterone, whatever it is, when they go into the cell of the body, they have a metabolic effect where they actually change something, right? So once it gets in there, the hormone is being utilized. And what happens is the cell breaks it down, and you end up with like hormone metabolites. And at this point, it has to be detoxed, right? And so this is where the liver comes in, because this is done through the liver, and it's actually called liver bile transformation, right? And so these hormone metabolites, they have to be transformed into a form that can actually be eliminated out of the body. Now, this is a really, really important step in this process, because what happens is these hormone metabolites are often toxic, right? And they're actually harder on the body in their intermediate stage as the metabolite. We call them, like in estrogen, they'll usually call it like dirty estrogen, right? And things like that. Those metabolites they're not good for our cells, and they cause inflammation, right? And so it goes into the liver, and it uses bile to be able to break it down in a way that we can actually eliminate it. And so eventually it would become fecal matter, and it would become urine, right? So it'd either go, if it went through the kidneys, it would be urine, but mostly it's going to become fecal matter and go through the bowel for elimination. So what happens if it doesn't get eliminated properly? Like, what happens if the liver is working really, really hard, doing all kinds of stuff, and it doesn't get these hormonal metabolites, eliminated, and they're just partially metabolized in the body? Well, what can happen is they can actually hitchhike back over to the cells, and they hijack those receptor sites of the cells, and now the clean actual hormone cannot get on it, right? And so then the hormones can't get into the cells, and what happens is it causes an imbalance in excess. And this is something that we often see with women. It's called estrogen dominance, right? It's because you get this surge of estrogen that's not being metabolized through the liver properly, and it's going back and attaching to the receptor sites. But then when the ovaries are creating the estrogen, you're getting too much estrogen in your body. Now, there's two ways that this can happen. We also have endocrine disrupting chemicals, right? That are like plastics and different chemicals in our environment that can also suppress the receptors of our cells because they act and behave like hormones. So it can happen in both ways. Now, the important thing is here is not only to understand this kind of overview of our physiology, But also to understand that sometimes when you get your lab test done, that maybe it indicates that your hormones are normal, or maybe you have high hormone levels, but you have low hormone symptoms, like maybe you have brain fog, fatigue, different symptoms like that. What's happening here is that means that you've had cell receptor site downregulation, right? Now, what happens when this happens? You know, I said it was a feedback loop, right? When things go off track in this system, and it could literally happen at any point, right? You could have a challenge that starts in the hypothalamus, in the brain. I will tell you, even before the hypothalamus, you have to have enough neurotransmitters to send the signal from the brain to the hypothalamus to create the hormone signaling molecule in the first place. But whenever you have this, like anywhere in the system, things could go off track. So we really have to look at it like a priority. Like, how do we get everything worked out so that we can really get a result in the end, right? Because this, when we get into hormones, this can get really complicated, right? And you could be like, okay, well, should I be addressing my liver? Should I be looking at the downregulation of the cells? Is it the thyroid? Is it the adrenals? You know, what do I do? Do I address the brain? Well, I'm here to let you know there's actually 4 therapeutic priorities in managing any hormone imbalance. And they start right here. The first thing is that number 1 priority is to support blood sugar stability, right? That's your primary goal. That's and that's the reason why in the roadmap, blood sugar stability is in pillar number 1. It's one of the first things that we look at, because you have to look at that in order to look at everything else, right? Because blood sugar plays a key role in every other metabolic thing in your body, right? Number 2, we have to balance essential fats and essential fatty acids. Now we're going to come back to this one in just a minute. Step 3 is to support the liver bile transformation, or the liver detox. And step 4 is to normalize the gut microbiome so that that everything can be properly metabolized in the end. So these are the 4 priorities when it comes to balancing hormone. And I know that when you look at this, you're like, okay, we've talked about a lot of this in the roadmap already, and we have, right? So when you look at supporting blood sugar, you need to remember it's not just about a diet, right? It's about your insulin surges, right? And you can go back to that class and review it, because we want to minimize your insulin surges, right? The next thing we want to do is we want to reduce inflammation, right? Because we know that inflammation drives the adrenal gland to pump out that cortisol, which is the anti-inflammatory hormone, but that cortisol has the effect of raising blood sugar. So when you become inflamed, you make more stress hormone cortisol, and then that raises your blood sugar even more. So this is the reason why blood sugar stability is the key thing. And so I just gave you a big thing. You got to address stress in order to keep blood sugar stability, right? It's not just about the diet, right? So the next thing we want to look at is balancing the essential fatty acids, right? Now, why is this important? Because your essential fats are necessary for optimizing hormone signaling, right? So essential fatty acids are fats from your diet. It's essential because your body cannot make it. So it's essential that you get it from your diet. And typically, you can get these from nuts, from seeds, healthy fats like olive oil, coconut oil. You can even, certain animal foods like, fish and things like that, right? But you need these essential fatty acids because they're essential for hormone signaling. And they also help to decrease inflammation. And then also these fatty acids help to increase the cell receptor site function, right? So on every single cell in your body, you have these receptors that accept the hormone into the cell to optimize the function. Well, healthy fats, these essential fatty acids, is what helps those receptors to actually open up and accept those hormones, right? So these essential fats help to sensitize the cells to the hormones by affecting that actual receptor function. So when we're talking about a hormone conversation, we can't have this conversation without talking about essential fatty acids, right? And so it also helps to improve hormone conversion in that process that I showed you in the pathway. And that conversion is really dependent on healthy amounts of essential fatty acids. So getting these healthy fats in your body is really important. And I suggest, and I always recommend, that you get these healthy fats all throughout your day, right? Like you want to get some in the morning, you want to get some at lunch, you want to get some more healthy fats at dinner, you want to get some healthy fats before you go to bed. Like you really want to add them in throughout your day so that your body's always having the right amount of essential fatty acids. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to talk about your gut, and your gut microbiome is very important of this hormone function. So if you go back and review digestion, those are some really key classes with some great information in there that really plays a part here. But just for tonight, I want to remind you that when we talked about digestion, we talked about how it can improve your immune tolerance, right? Because a lot of pathogens come through the gut. And so we want to create that healthy flora, and proper digestion with using our enzymes and our probiotics and everything so that we can really help our body to be, have a higher immune tolerance, right? And then the next thing, as far as supporting the liver, it's important to support the liver because it helps you to clear your hormones, right? Because it all happens in the liver. This is how we detox it. And that's a really important function. This detoxing of endocrine disrupting chemicals, as well as your hormone metabolites. So these are the most important things to help people as far as hormone problems. Now, remember, most people don't truly have hormone deficiency, like they're not really low on hormones. What most people have is they have the inability to clear and convert the hormone properly, right? So it's either a gut microbiome issue, it's maybe a liver transformation issue, it's an essential fatty acid imbalance, or it's a blood sugar imbalance, or quite honestly, a combination of all four of them, right? And so if we focus on these four things, then by the time you get to the very specific hormones, you generally don't have the hormone challenge. It's not a thing. Your symptoms go away, and you don't even have to go in and replace, right? So you can just address these root cause, and then the symptoms improve. And this is why we say, when you follow this roadmap, your body is able to rebalance, to reset, and regenerate itself. Now, over the course of this series, we have looked specifically at products that help with each of these four therapeutic priorities, right? And tonight is no different, because for tonight's product spotlight, it's one that I absolutely love, because not only does it help you to support fatty acid balance, but it also helps to calm stress. It also helps to support liver bile transformation or detox. It also helps to support hormone sensitivity. It is a product that I have added to my foundational program, and I take it every single day, and I have seen improvements in every single aspect of my physiology in my body, not just my body, but also my mind as well. So for tonight's Soul Connection segment, I have asked the president and founder of Solle Naturals, Greg Halliday, to share with us more about EnFatuate. So I'll pass it to you.
Thank you, Erica. And listen and learn, man. I've loved everything that I've heard so far from Erica. It's such a really profitable thing to learn is this lesson tonight. What are the different things that affect our hormones? Because I'm with Erica. I don't think as often it's a problem of hormone production as much as one of the aspects that makes the process effective. And those four areas that Erica talked about, to me, all super important. And actually, we can do something about all of them. That's the thing I like about it. They aren't areas that are exceptionally difficult to improve. They really aren't. I mean, blood sugar, I wish we could change the prevailing opinion, which is just, oh, it's just so terrible. And it's not that it isn't serious, it is. Because, I mean, another example tonight, you know, can undo everything in terms of hormone balance, and we're looking for other answers. But the fact is, nutritionally, we can do huge things. We can have we actually can control to a great degree. It's not, you know, we don't control everything. We can do really well nutritionally with blood sugar and have aspects of the way we manage stress be so hard for us, maybe by our choices, you know, just taking on too much, say, you know, that it can stay out of balance. And we're like, how come I can't do this? Because I'm helping all these people and they're doing it. And how come I can't? Because the stress is it's the great X factor in everything, which is the reason why all of Solle's products have various aspects, not just one or two plants, but various in there to help us with that stress level management, or really better said, the way our body responds to stress and the way that our mind feels it. So anyway, I just really love the whole context for tonight. I'll just say that as a general overview, balancing the essential fatty acids, it is really easy. I know that could be taken wrong, but it's really easy to get in there if we can find a good variety of healthy fats and spread them out constantly in our diet. I mean, Erica's already said, you know, hey, one key, do it several times in a day. Don't just like, you know, do it once and go, yeah, I got my fats. So I can spread them out. Number two, just daily, because the body, it's so amazing. Liver, that key part that was the end of that whole, you know, hormonal process. It's been proven that by simply introducing better fats, the liver and the body will release the worse fats, those that we feed it and that it holds on to and utilizes. I mean, it's not always that way. The transfer is not always that easy, but with the good fats, I believe it is. Let me just tell you a little bit about EnFatuate, okay? It is a premium health fat blend. Premium because these are not fats you can go in one place and get. They do come from all over the world. And when we say all over the world, we literally mean all over the world, from several different continents. There is a fairly diverse blend of them because we believe that we're all a little different and our situation is unique, and the greater variety that we can supply in a nutritional shake like EnFatuate, it's simply a shake or it's an add-in, it's a mix-in, it's a wonderful mix-in, but you can take it alone. I love it equally alone. I truly do. Just in water, like with 1 cube of ice, because that puts the temp about right for me. And I also love it as a mix-in. But we get all these fats. So let me tell you what they are. The lead ingredient comes actually from Peru. It is called sacha inchi, and it's a star-shaped, a really interesting, think of like a Japanese ninja star, or I guess would be in Japan, right? The ninja warriors. Those stars they use, this is a seed that looks like those and is incredibly beneficial with healthy fats. And by the way, also healthy proteins. That is the lead nutrient because it's quite diverse and very, very impressive. Next, there's also coconut oil extracted for an emphasis on MCT in coconut oil. So it's not just the plain oil in powder form, but it is a concentrated extract of MCT coconut oil. Avocado oil is also included. I'll tell you a little bit about why. Cacao is also included, pure cacao. It is a concentrate as well as included. We're still in this healthy fat blend. Sprouted black chia, so not just the seed, but also the sprout from the seed because of the more temporarily dense, extremely dense nutrients that occur in the sprout as long as the seed itself, or as well as in the seed itself. We wanted all of that. Another fruit is the next ingredient from Peru, again, lucuma. Then mangosteen fruit, which you can find in a number of tropical islands. Yes, mangosteen also has other benefits and healthy fats. Black raspberry seed, another healthy fat, along with other key ingredients. You know, we never, ever just pick the thing. If fats are the thing in this formula, in Solle, we want double and triple duty from the ingredients because of how interconnected everything is. Okay, so that's all the fats in EnFatuate. Now, that's not the only thing we included because most of us, I'll even say the vast majority, are extremely accustomed to really poor fats because of our modern processed food diet. Our bodies are really, really accustomed to the poor fats. And secondly, there was another point I wanted to bring. Okay, secondly, a change in the area of good fats might be the most drastic diet change that most people ever undergo. And because the body is so altered in the way it processes and digests, it can be a bit of a shock for the body to all of a sudden get all these pure good fats. And so the formula needed, in addition to all these wonderful fats, it needed digestive support. And so we also included what we call the soothing digestive blend in the formula. So you have all these fats, and then you have this blend of things to help us digest the fats. Now, even though there is a nice blend in EnFatuate, even with that, you might find some people for whose diet this is even a bigger change. And so you can easily add vertizymes, which is the plant-sourced enzymes, which also includes enzymes to digest fats. That's another thing that can easily be added to EnFatuate when a person is first taking it, and especially if you're looking at the levels, because you can start out with a little, and then I encourage you to experiment with greater levels, not always, not for always, but for a certain temporary period of time, and watch what improves and changes. And don't be afraid to ramp up to quite large levels, again, for a temporary period of time. And if you need to, take vertizymes with it as well. That being said, let me tell you what's in the digestive portion of this formula. There is an adaptogen, and the reason it's in there, honestly, is pure liver. I don't need to say anything about it because Erica already told us why the liver is so important. And let's just say maybe, one of the two most abused organs, because of our lifestyle. So amla, which is an adaptogenic berry, actually, very commonly used in Ayurveda, does many great things for us, including benefits to eyesight, but its purpose here is liver. Secondly, Erica mentioned calming. In general, if we can help the body's state and our emotional state of being, we can improve the body's ability to be more efficient in digestion of all things. And so we have hops, we have cyprium, and we have turmeric in the formula to help calm, though turmeric also is an amazing anti-inflammatory, among other things. Erica already alluded to how inflammation is one of the big four reasons as well, that hormones are disrupted, that we have issues there and imbalances. So that's also part of this digestive blend. So you've got something for the liver, you have calming, you have things that address inflammation. You also have chamomile, marshmallow root, and aloe vera, which are all soothing to the central nervous system and also to digestion. And I believe that when we can provide a calmer state, we then therefore activate those processes that are rejuvenative. We stimulate rejuvenation and reparation in the body. And so that's the reason for these other herbs. Let me just give you a couple of facts that are interesting to me about some of these. We don't have time to do all of them, but just some of these key ingredients, okay? So let's pull out avocado oil. It's very much like olive oil. It's different, but almost 3/4 of that is omega-9. Okay, so that's where it's really similar to olive oil. Why is avocado in here? Well, okay, that's one reason, but I'll give you a second one. Lots of studies show that if you have avocado oil as your good fat, you will absorb up to 4 times more of key vitamins from your food. That's all I need to hear. Okay, that's why avocado oil is in here. Second, here's another little nugget. I've talked about the coconut oil and MCT oil, MCT concentration in the coconut oil. Why is that in this formula? 2 reasons. Erica talked about the resolution process that has to happen after metabolism and energy production. When the body can burn good fats, in particular MCTs, we don't get any or very few free radicals that the body later has to clean up. As opposed to glucose, which we love, the body prefers in many instances and is very easy to get a quick energetic reaction that create many free radicals that then the body has to use. So in other words, when we can train the body, because the body already knows how to do it, to more frequently use fats for energy production, we create less inflammation in the body and less problem. I already mentioned the amla and the liver, but let me jump to that little star-shaped seed, sacha inchi. Honestly, it's the star ingredient for fats. It has an amazing ratio of fats and a very beneficial. So I like how a very beneficial complement of other ingredients and proteins. To give you an idea of why we like sacha inchi so much, 17 times the omega-3s as sockeye salmon. So Erica mentioned fish, and a lot of people will turn to fish for their fats. 17 times more in sacha inchi. High in tryptophan. A lot of people will like to eat turkey, say, because of that, because of its calming, as it's a precursor to a calming situation for the body. Sacha inchi is very high in tryptophan. 1/3 of this lovely star-shaped seed, a full 30% of it is protein. And what's awesome about it is it's actually complete. All of the essential amino acids are actually also found in sacha inchi. Why do I mention that? Because a lot of people talk about the keto answer. And keto, for reasons we talked about today, when you think about it, there's some real strength behind why that philosophy would make such a difference for people. But there, like so many things, the pendulum swings too far in the common messaging for keto, because it really is optimal when you have a ratio similar to what we see in sacha inchi with protein there as well. And we believe a plant source protein is really the optimal there, because much more bioavailable and free of other problems that a lot of the animal proteins can cause. Okay, so that's the sacha inchi. Lucuma, I mentioned this is the other thing from Peru. It is being studied as a sweetener because it's very sweet with a very low glycemic index, so very friendly to the pancreas, hence the blood sugar issue that Erica talked about being helped if the sweetness comes through lucuma. But lucuma does much more. It's actually really high in iron, zinc, calcium, magnesium, beta-carotene, B3. It is a wound healer. So think about situations in the body where the body's trying to heal. I always think of tissue internal and external, because usually we think of wounds as like an external thing, but I think of internal. Immune system strengthening and inflammation reduction. These are all things currently being studied. So they'll say, oh, it may do this because we see evidence, and it may do that as well because we see evidence. But in each of these things, there is strong evidence that lucuma is a beneficial nutrient. So let me just end with one last one, cacao, okay? Cacao is really a wonder. High in iron, potassium, magnesium, 40 times the antioxidant protection of blueberries, which are a famous antioxidant, and they should be. They're wonderful, 40 times that in cacao. Even more catechins, one of the key nutrients in green tea, more of those are in cacao than in green tea. And there's a fat. One of the good fats in cacao is called anandamide, and that's the fat that is called the bliss molecule, because what it does for mood, and why I think there are so many cravings for chocolate, which can contain greater or lesser amounts of cacao. But it doesn't stop here. There's another substance that triggers endorphins in cacao. Another one that inhibits appetite and cravings, and at the same time lifts mood. Another one that strengthens tooth enamel, cacao. Another one that shows better memory, better problem solving, cognitive function. And yet another in cacao that is a blood sugar improver. So cacao is loaded with stuff. And you can kind of, if you think through it, I've only highlighted 4 or 5 of those ingredients. We could do that with all of them. But hopefully what we remember from tonight is that EnFatuate, really, really diverse in some of the really best therapeutic fat sources. Not only are the fats there, but many other key components that help the body process them and play a role in complementary health functions to tonight's discussion. So EnFatuate, I will tell you, and EnFatuate is one of those formulas that you'll see over time. There are a lot more really interesting fats coming into the market. We do see, I could full well see EnFatuate, we add 1 or 2 because we've had our eye on those, and we constantly keep an eye on that, where that formula you'll see will keep its position as kind of the most diverse and therapeutic good fats shake or mix in that you can find on the market. That's sort of the commitment for that product. All right, back to you, Erica.
Awesome. I love that. I love EnFatuate. I have been away from my normal routine of EnFatuate because I just didn't bring enough with me. And my skin is already feeling it. Like I'm already feeling a little redness and not as like moist as I was. And of course, I did come to the desert. I was in Las Vegas before this. And, of course I was experiencing all that, but I know because I still have my megas, like I got all my stuff, I'm still taking it. But like, I know it's that difference in me not having as much EnFatuate as I normally would, that my skin just like, when I take EnFatuate, it feels like super soft and moisturized all the time. And it's such an incredible thing. Also mood, like everything. So I'm going to tell y'all, I love EnFatuate with Renew. And I like to take it at night, but I like to take EnFatuate throughout the day. I actually add it to my shake in the morning, but I love to put it in with Renew. I think it does some incredible things for our body. So the way I do it, I'll take my SolleMegas in the morning for the essential fats from the SolleMegas, which are different, right, than what we get in EnFatuate. And then then about mid-morning, I'm going to usually have my shake, and I'll go ahead and put some more fats in there. Then I'll eat like dietary fats like avocados and things like that, seeds and things like that throughout the day. And then at night, I love to put EnFatuate with Renew. And it just, it'll give you the best sleep. It also takes care of any cravings that you might have and anything like that. It just totally relaxes the body. It's so much fun. And if you ever have like a little stressful, like maybe you went and worked out really hard and your body's kind of achy, you just throw a couple of SolleFlex PI in there and it's like lights out. You're going to have the best, you're going to wake up feeling amazing. You're going to have the best sleep. It's going to be the best thing that you have ever experienced. It's absolutely amazing. And real quick, I want to tell, I appreciate all of your kudos here. And I appreciate all of your positive comments regarding my teachings. I am honored and humbled to be able to show up here every week, every Tuesday to share with you all. So my thoughts on seed cycling, specifically, I'm assuming that you're asking for like sexual hormone process. I believe that we need lots of different variety of fats, which is the reason why I love EnFatuate as an addition to our nutritional profile, because if you had to go buy all of these seeds and like add it to your diet, you're probably not going to like the cost of your grocery budget. Like, we have incredibly amazingly sourced, and we can just get it and add it in such an easy way. And it's such a great product. And so I like the variety that's available. I saw a question about SolleMegas versus EnFatuate. So again, they are both essential fatty acid products or essential fat products. They do different things. They're different fats. And I think that you should do both of them. I mean, that if you were really asking, like I said, I take my SolleMegas in the morning, and then I add in my EnFatuate, throughout the day. I know a lot of people they love to mix EnFatuate in with their Cinnamate. So if you do it that way, that's another really easy way that you can add in. And you don't have to do a full scoop of EnFatuate. You could do like half a scoop and then maybe half a scoop later, and like add it throughout your day, because it's super powerful. Like I said, to like sprinkle in your essential fats throughout the day. So much for coming tonight. We appreciate you as always, Greg. I appreciate you for coming and sharing your wisdom with us each night as well. And everybody for coming, and go out and keep sharing these classes. I've seen this comment several times that people pay for this type of education. So share it. And because we're here to offer it to the world, we want to keep sharing Solle. We have incredible products and incredible education, and we're here to make a difference and an impact in the world. So thank you so much, everybody. Y'all have a good night. Bye-bye.